Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. And last week, we had a short about the Phage's Uber kill, trying to get Phage under a Dermotaxi and one-shotting people with it. So this week, we're going to see if that combo can actually work in Modern with a Phage's Uber deck. So let's talk about our deck and the combo, jump into some games, see it in action. All right, so here is our Phage's Uber deck, and if you watched the short from last week, you probably know what this deck's trying to do. So the goal of the deck is to get Phage, or to a lesser extent Archon of Cruelty, into our graveyard. So Phage may be the most unique creature in all of Magic. If it comes into play and you didn't cast it from your hand, you lose the game. On the other hand, if it hits your opponent for combat damage, they lose the game. So Phage, really powerful once it gets on the battlefield, but really, really hard to get on the battlefield. It's a ton of mana, you can't really reanimate it or cheat into play or else you lose the game. So this deck is using a sneaky way, an Uber, let's say, to get Phage onto the battlefield. So first, we gotta get Phage in the graveyard. We got a bunch of cheap self-mill creatures, Hedron Crab, Merfolk, Secret Keeper, Stitcher, Supplier, Stinkweed to do some dredging, and these cards kind of do double duty. You'll see as we go along, not only do they let us get Phage into the graveyard really early in the game, they also are going to become our Uber drivers, hopefully later. So then we have our Uber, Dermotaxi. Dermotaxi is like the one card in Magic that can actually kind of reanimate Phage. So it comes into play, you exile a card from your graveyard, and it's imprinted on Dermotaxi. Then you can tap two creatures to turn Dermotaxi into a copy of the exiled card. So this is essentially reanimating Phage for 2 mana with extra steps, because we do need the drivers to turn on the Dermotaxi. But essentially reanimates Phage for 2 mana, and it gets around the drawback. Like, it's Dermotaxi that's entering the battlefield, not Phage. Phage is just getting exiled from our graveyard, which is perfectly fine. So this is the one card that can actually sort of let us cheaply reanimate Phage. Dimir Infiltrator just transmutes to find Dermotaxi, so we get more copies of it. But really, this gives us a potential turn 3 Phage kill. Like, turn 1, something that self-mills, get Phage in the graveyard. Turn 2, Dermotaxi, exile Phage. Turn 3, play another creature, so we have 2 Uber drivers to crew them up and hit our opponent with the Dermotaxi that is a Phage and win the game with Phage's combat trigger. And that is the goal of our deck. Otherwise, Liliana, actually really important because it lets us discard Phage from our hand while also giving us removal. A bunch of removal spells, Drown and Lock can also be a counter. Mana base, this is also kind of spicy. Our backup plan is just to hard cast Phage, and Phage and Archon of Cruelty, both a ton of mana, 7-8 mana. However, we have Cabal Coffers along with Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. If we can get a Coffers in an Urborg to turn all of our lands, including Coffers, into swamps, we can actually be hard casting Phage relatively early in the game thanks to all the Cabal Coffers mana. So kind of a commander trick, let's say. Otherwise, bunch of mana fixing. Mishra's Factory, another potential Uber driver in our mana base, because one of the concerns with the deck is we actually get Phage under the Dermotaxi, but don't have enough cheap creatures to turn it on. So Mishra's Factory can always fire itself up, crew up the Uber, smash our opponent with the Phage. Sideboard, bunch of removals, some counters, a bunch of hate cards for specific matchups, and that is Phage's Uber. That's our Against the Odds deck for this week. So is this going to work? I'm hoping that we can pull off the combo kill. I don't think this is going to be super duper competitive, mostly because there's still an issue with our plan. And the issue is our opponent can always just block. Like, even if we get Phage under the Dermotaxi on turn 2 and fire it up on turn 3, Phage doesn't really have evasion. So we also need our opponent to not have a blocker. That's part of the reason why we have all this cheap removal. We got the Fatal Pushes and Drown the Locks and Murderous Cuts and Lilianas. The idea is we can hopefully get Phage under the Dermotaxi quickly, kill whatever blockers there are, and just surprise one-shot our opponent. But that still is a worry that there might be times where we get Phage under the Uber, but still end up not being able to win the game, or our opponent has removal of their own, a Path to Exile or something, a Solitude. So we'll see. Anyway, let's jump into the game, see if it's possible to get the Phage's Uber kill in Modern. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy the gameplay, and I'll be back in a bit with the wrap-up. Do you need some new Innistrad Crimson Vow cards? Well, you can get them all from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, by heading over to cardkingdom.com/MTGGoldfish and even get a free MTG Goldfish sticker. Just let them know you want one in your order notes, and they will hook you up. Against the Odds time, we are trying to send Phage on a Uber. We were playing the Dermotaxi Phage combo in Modern, and we'll see how it goes. We're gonna give it our best shot. See what our opponent's up to. This hand's fine. We're not especially close to Dermotaxiing, but Hedron Crab can fill the graveyard. If we find the Dermotaxi, it'll be good. Plus, we do have this Coffers. If we find an Urborg, maybe we can just hardcast our big stuff. That also seems like a possibility, at least. All right, opponent, burn. This might be tricky. Against burn, we're either gonna need a fast Phage, or we're gonna need to somehow get an Archon going for life gain. All right, Hedron Crab and Polluted Delta. Meal ourselves. When we start with a Hedron Crab, ooh, all right, there's a Phage. There's a Phage. That is step 1 achieved. I guess we just pass. Opponent. Now I guess if they kill the crab, it's not the end of the world, although we would like it to live just for crewing purposes. Like, we do need 2 creatures to turn on the Dermotaxi. That's part of the reason we're playing the Mishra's factories. Not because we actually want to attack with them, we just want them for taxi driving. Well, yeah, get a tap land. Might as well keep milling ourselves. Ooh, all right, there's a Urborg. We're still a little ways away from being able to cast an Archon, but Coffers is going to start making extra mana. And Liliana's not bad. Liliana just attacking our opponent's hand hopefully gets rid of some burn. Opponent. Thinking. Lightning Bolt. Okay. Cracks the Bloodstained Mire. And I don't know if you can hear background noise. It is just loud puppies if you do. All right, so down to 6. Boros Charm. Take out the Liliana. About it. Got a discard. We can get rid of Watery Grave. How close are we to Archon? So next turn, Cabal Coffers, we have 4 swamps. So 3 mana becomes 4 mana plus 1, so we're at 5. And then every swamp we play is plus 2 mana essentially, so we get a 7. Still got a little ways to go. Well, at this point, we're gonna block. I don't think the taxi ride's happening this game. Ooh, okay, opponent. Oh, Boros Charm to 2. Well, I guess we just need our opponent to not draw burn spells forever, give or take. I mean, if we could live a few more turns, all right, Hedron Crab. That's a blocker. That's something that can chump block. Well, take down. Get rid of the Swift Spear. Opponent gets milled. Yeah, I think at this point there's not much of a point to milling ourselves. Like, we got the Phage in there. If we draw a Taxi, we're set to do it. We can discard a Archon if we need to. So we're 1 mana short from Archoning next turn. We need 2 more turns. But once we get Archon, the life gain should stabilize us, hopefully. Oh, okay, just Aluris. That's fine. Opponent gets Aluris. We can deal with that. Opponent passes. All right, well, play the land mill, yeah. Ooh, milled a couple lands that we would have. Well, I guess we milled the Helix that would have killed us. Let's just double check this. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, all right. So Archon's 8. I knew that was how the math worked. For some reason, I was hoping that I was just really bad at counting and Archon was going to come down this turn, but we were counting correctly. We knew 1 more land. Well, I mean, I guess we take up, get rid of an Archon. We only really need 1 anyway. And we would like to keep attacking our opponent's hand. All right, opponent pitches the lure. What are they holding? They got the Luris, pitched the Luris, but it's not a lethal burn spell. But if it was a creature, they'd cast it. I don't know. That's actually really strange. What could that be? Huh. I guess if it was a land, you would not pitch the Luris. Well, I don't know. Anyway, Hedron Crab, mill you. Now we do have the mana. Our Cabal Coffers gonna make 5, and then Archon of Cruelty. Well, it's not the taxi ride that we're going for, but I mean, I guess coffering into a Archon's kind of sweet. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad about it. Searing Blaze. That actually makes perfect sense. That's like the one card in their deck that fit all those criteria. So they hit us for 1 down to 1. Archon comes down. We get rid of the Dragon Rage Channeler. Good news is we go up to 4, which means our opponent only has Boros Charm that can kill us. Well, Liliana, dig it up. Discard Polluted Delta. Pass the turn. And now we get to gain 3 a turn with Archon. So our opponent has this. Careful, baby. Oh, just a bobble. Okay, now we should be good. Now we should be good because we get to keep gaining with Archon. Opponent cracks, takes a peek, and scoops it up. Oh, well, not the taxi ride, but that was still pretty sweet. Like, Archon of Cruelty off Cabal Coffers is actually, Cabal Coffers might be underexplored in Modern. Maybe there should be more Coffers decks. Or maybe I just want people to play Coffers decks so I can blood mute them. You'll never know. Chalice is interesting, but I don't know if we have room for it. We'd rather just do our thing than try to Chalice lock, I think, burn. Chalice is mostly for the Cascade decks, honestly. Try it like that. All right, on to game number 2, and hand's not very good. 1 land, colorless even, not keepable. Ooh, this hand is definitely keepable. I think we just put Flusterstorm to the bottom. We mill with Stitcher Supplier. We got the Dermotaxi. Worst case, we can discard Archon to to Liliana if we can't mill like a Phage or something. All right, opponent, Sacred Foundry. Sure. And Dragon Rage Shawnala. About it. Mishra's Bobble. Getting the Surveil value. Milling a Helix. Our opponent might be digging for lands. Milling a Helix seems like the kind of card they would want to keep. About it passes. Cracks the Bobble, takes a peek. Marsh Flats. Well, play a Swamp, play 8 Stitcher Supplier, do some milling. Well, nothing big about it. All the way up to 3 cards in the graveyard. Lava Spike Surveil. Mills a Rift Bolt. Opponent's definitely looking for lands, and they have turn on Dragon Rage Channeler. Hey, alright, sure. Urborg. Well, tap land. Hit you for, I guess, 1. Pass the turn. About it. Oh, more creatures. Okay, that's real bad. Our opponent's 1-lander is probably going to get there. Hits us to 10. Well, play a Urborg. Kill the Dragon Rage Channeler. Pass the turn. Opponent. All right, Rift Bolt suspended. Do we even block? Opponent passes. 1, 2, 3, Liliana. Kill the Swift Spear. Like, we do have an incentive to keep the Stitcher Supplier alive because we do need 2 creatures to crew the Uber. We need taxi drivers. About it. Rift Bolt. Excuse me. Going to hit our face. Yep, down to 7. Passes. Well, take up Liliana. Discard Archon of Cruelty. Play Dermotaxi. Exile Archon of Cruelty. Pass the turn. Oh, there's a chance. There's a chance. It's not a Phage, but opponent. It's not a Phage, but that is a taxi. Swift Spear. Okay. We have the creature. We have the creature in hand. Is this happening? Are we going to do Dermotaxi kill? Oh, I wish it was Phage. We could have played... Not a Phage, but they know what's coming. And wow, that was good. That was real good. Real good. Dermotaxi. Sweet. Against the odds time, we are Ubering with Phage this week. Ooh, we got the Uber. We got no way to get cards in the graveyard. We got the Phage in hand. I think we just mulligan that. Interesting. Well, I mean, I guess we keep this. We're gonna put a Phage to the bottom. Hitting like a Liliana would be really sweet. Liliana to discard these big things. Or some coffers. Opponent. Arid Mesa. Oh, are they playing Burn? Ooh. Okay. Well, come on, Taxi. Oh, they're playing Hammer Time. All right. Sure. Godless Shrine. Mishra's Bobble. Takes peek. I mean, I think it's got to be Hammer Time. I don't know what else it could be. All right, definitely Hammer Time. Well, Crack Polluter Delta, get a Watery Grave. Maybe we can mill all the hammers. Opponent gets the draw card. Stitcher Supplier. Well, play a Crab. We do get to mill a lot of cards here, which is nice. Crab, Marsh Flats, mill some cards. Well, we milled an Archon. Get a Swamp, mill some cards. Mill nothing. Stitcher Supplier, mill some cards. Oh my god, we milled a lot of lands. 8 lands milled. That's actually pretty frightening. I think we probably needed those lands to be drawn. Wow, that's so many lands. Well, we were gonna draw our lands eventually until we milled ourselves. Opponent gets Esper Sentinel and has a Memnite to grow the Smith. Well, we draw land, which is good. Play the Factory, mill ourselves. Because our opponent has so many ground blockers, get Dermotaxi. Because our opponent has so many ground blockers, we might have to go for Archon anyway, assuming we even live. Opponent untaps. I mean, we could just, the hammer we know is coming. There's one coming off the saga, so. More Smiths. Do they find a hammer? Whiff, okay. Esper Sentinel grows the Smiths. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks. Well, we're going to take something. Wow, no attacks. Well, we're just going to draw. More Archons. Well, Dermotaxi. Pay the 1. And yeah, we gotta take Archon. Like, even if we had a Phage in the graveyard, I think we gotta take Archon here. Pass the turn. Well, good news is we got the Archon going. Bad news is opponent gets a hammer and a free equip. And I don't know that we can beat that. And a huge construct, and grows the Smith. I mean, if there's good news, this is gonna happen at sorcery speed, so at least we're gonna know what the hammer's on. Yeah, we're gonna have to draw a removal spell. We're gonna have to draw a way to kill the thing that has a hammer, I think. We do get a, oh, wow, they're just getting shadow. Okay, huh. Does this mean they have a hammer in hand? Opponent, Memnite, goes to combat. So if our opponent has a hammer, we're dead. If they don't have a hammer, then we probably want to block with this Archon. Yeah, I mean, all right. Uber it up. I mean, we're dead either way to a hammer. So there's not really a concern like, oh, our Dermotaxi is going to get blown out. Like, if they got a hammer, we're dead. I think we block the littler one, though, just in case they have, like, I don't even know. Do you have the hammer? All right, apparently not. We untap. Dredging isn't the worst. I think we don't dredge, though. Oh my god, it's another Phage. Awkward hand. Well, crew up the Archon. We really need to draw a removal spell to have any shot, I think. Go to combat. Attack with the Archon. Get a trigger. Make a discard. Gain some life. Draw a card. Also is the most awkward hand. Opponent sacks a Memnite. Do we just want to dredge the Stinkweed now? So we didn't draw removal. Stinkweed at least blocks something. We're going to be at 16. You know what? I think we will. Dredge it. Hit ya. We were going to draw nothing very good. Opponent goes to 13. Well, we will play a Stinkweed Imp. Pass the turn. No hammers, no hammers, no hammers, no hammers, no hammers. Oh. An opponent top decks a hammer, and we are dead. Well, that's unfortunate. That actually was kind of close. Oh my goodness, but our opponent top decked exactly what they needed. All right, so Drown in the Lock-in, Murderous Cut in, Engineered Explosives may be in. Go down. Stinkweed Imp, go down Dimir Infiltrator, go down 2 Secret Keepers, run it like that. Well, I mean, we actually did some crewing there. If our opponent hadn't top decked the hammer that turn, we might have been in a place to win. Like, Stinkweed kills something, and then we get another Archon attack. I think we might actually been in a position where we could have actually pieced that together and won that game. Obviously did not work out in practice. Oh my god, I think we gotta mulligan this. All the expensive stuff in hand. This we're gonna keep. Archon to the bottom. Only having 1 land is super frightening though. Marsh Flats, crack it. Watery Grave, untapped, and Stitcher Supplier. Well, hopefully we do some drawing of lands. Please don't mill all of our lands. Oh, that's actually pretty good. We milled a Cabal Coffers that is not the land we want to draw right now. And a Phage, which we actually actively want in the graveyard. Even though it's still, it's going to be tough to get through just all their random dorks. That is the downside of Phage, is it doesn't really have evasion. So if our opponent just has a bunch of Memnites and Ornithopters, going to be tricky to get through with Phage. So what's our best draw? Probably Mishra's Phage. Aw, Thoughtseize. Opponent. Shame. Shame, shame, shame on you, opponent. Interacting. Well, I mean, I assume they take the taxi, but we'll see. Maybe they want to take the stuff that can interact with them. I mean, none of this actually matters unless we draw lands. Yeah, Phage is better against decks that don't have so many random dorks. This deck can just build around. Like, how many decks are playing Memnites and Ornithopters and just random, like, 0 mana do nothing creatures? All right, opponent does take the taxi. Well, we draw a land, which isn't bad. I'll go to combat, attack you. Opponent is down to 15. Polluted Delta, go. Well, drawing a land is super helpful. Opponent, snow-covered plains. Sit Garda's Aid. Well, I mean, yeah, I think we gotta, well, do we actually have to, You know what, I think that's fine. Sure. I mean, in theory, we just get that with Engineered Explosives. Now I wish we hadn't cracked the land because we want to draw more lands, and we did slightly thin our deck. Yeah, I mean, so we're definitely hoping that we just draw land and then we can Explosives away a bunch of things at some point. We can draw land, Explosives on one, leave up Drown in the Lock for something else, and then at some point clear away all the 1-drops. That's also good hammer protection because hammer is 1 mana. If they play a 2, then we got to stop it, like a Stoneforge or a Pure Steel Paladin. That would make us use our Drown in the Lock. Opponent goes to combat, attacks. Also, if they flash in hammer, we probably got to kill the Memnite, unfortunately. All right, Colossal Hammer. Well, we will just kill the Memnite. Leave our opponent with no targets. Explosives on 1. Go to combat. Hit ya. I mean, I guess this means we should not play the other Stitcher Supplier because we're definitely gonna have to blow this Explosives. Opponent untaps. Sanctifier in Vec. Well, that is annoying. Liliana would get rid of it if we draw a land. Murderous Cut would not. All right, so we will pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Yeah, we really need 1 more land. Hopefully not Cabal Coffers at this point. Pure Steel Paladin. Can't equip yet, though. Hammer. So opponent gets a hammer, gets to draw a card. But we get to explode away the equipment. The downside of this is, so we need to, the Liliana is only good if our opponent has no other creatures on the battlefield. That's the issue. So Liliana doesn't get rid of the Sanctifier. So we draw land, play the land, Stitcher Supplier, mill some cards for No value. Pass the turn. So hopefully our opponent doesn't have a creature. We kill the Pure Steel. We Liliana the Sanctifier, and then we're alive. All right. Opponent has more creatures. This keeps getting worse. Yeah, that's what we needed to. That's what we need our opponent not to have. So now we just are never going to get out from under the Sanctifier end back. Opponent, Smith, finds more hammers. And a bobble to grow the Smith. Opponent goes in. So now we need to draw another removal spell, I guess. Stitcher Supplier. This is so bad. Yeah, I mean, Liliana, take it down, but we're just getting rid of the Smith, not the thing we really needed to die. Oh, so close. I mean, I guess all of this, when it comes down to it, like, we're not especially close to winning anyway. All these lines we were talking through are just to try to keep us alive and to get rid of the Sanctifier. So maybe we could do something eventually, but it's not like, oh, if this works out, we win the game. It's like, oh, if this works out, maybe we keep living for a minute. Opponent gonna kill a Liliana. Well, I mean, we do have more Lilianas. Oh boy. Pure Steel. Stitcher Supplier. Mills of Gar. Somehow our opponent's also drawn just 2 lands straight gas. We've drawn 3 lands. I wouldn't say straight gas, though. I mean, there's not even any point to milling ourselves with this Sanctifier out. I mean, I guess we just pass. Yeah, I mean, I think death is coming. All our opponent needs is any artifact. Well, I guess they need 2. Well, no, only 1 because they have the hammer. So they need any non-hammer artifact and they win. Yeah, I really need to get rid of that Sanctifier. Opponent, Thought Seizes. Sure. Do you have an artifact? Wow, all right, sacks the bobble. Well, that puts them further away from winning. Gets in with the Sanctifier. Sure, we draw. All right, there's a hammer to draw a card. I'm guessing that means we have nothing relevant on top of our deck. Opponent draws a card. Yeah, it's pretty far away from relevant. Well, pass the turn. Opponent taps. Sanctifier, in fact, is quite the magic card in the matchups where it's good. All right, opponent finally draws a land, but they also drew an artifact. And gets Luris. Well, I mean, that also puts us to dead next turn. That just gets an artifact back. We draw. Way to kill Pure Steel? No, not this time. It felt close-ish, though. Sort of. Against the odds time, we are trying to do some Ubering with Phage in Modern, and we'll see. Oh, I hope this works. All right, this sounds fine. We're missing the Dermotaxi, but control. Well, in that case, Marsh Flats, crack Marsh Flats. Get a Watery Grave. And I guess we just Stitcher Supplier. Stitcher Supplier. This hand's going to be able to make some mana, which I guess is good. Like, this is a hand that can... This hand actually is going to be able to pretty quickly hardcast a Phage. Maybe that's our plan. Maybe we should... Well, we'll see what we draw, but that might actually be the short-term plan is just hardcasting our big stuff. Opponent, Mystic Gate, and Spreading Seas. All right. Well, at least it wasn't Urborg. Hedron Crab. Maybe we're trying to mill our opponent at this point. I actually think we might be. That might be our better bet with 2 Hedron Crabs. Kind of a crazy plan, but it could work. Mishra's Factory. Mill you. Go to combat. Hit you for 1. So how much mana can this hand make? I mean, not that we have anything to do with it yet anyway, but opponent goes to 19. Untaps. Plains. Do we have Teferi action? I mean, if we're actually going to try to mill our opponent, I guess fetch lands are kind of good. Opponent passes. Urborg. Well, Hedron Crab. Opponent feels like they got to counter it. Well, Urborg. Mill you. Mishra's Factory. You attacking. Opponent down to 16. Okay. Non-lands would be good. Opponent passing. Oh, that is Phage. Well, Cabal Coffers. Mill you. Go to combat. Attack. We're not going to fire up Factory now because of Snapcaster. Opponent goes to 15. We really want to be able to do multiple things in a turn, I think. All right, Archmage's Charm draws a couple cards. I mean, maybe our opponent's going to feel the pressure, like they have to tap out to like Wrath or something to get rid of our Hedron Crabs. Opponent cracks. And Teferi, sure. Gonna take it up. All right, well, ooh, there's a Dermotaxi too. Play Cabal Coffers. Mill you. Make mana. We have 9. This is interesting. You know what? I think we're casting Phage. Like, why would we not cast Phage? Phage. Hard cast in Modern. Beautiful. It is cast from the hand. We get to fire up the factory. Go to combat. Attack Teferi. I mean, now our opponent's got to play the Phage game. Like, they cannot get hit once with this Phage. So they have to answer the Phage. Opponent ticks up. Okay. Maybe an instant speed Wrath, I guess. Well, Marsh Flats. Milieu. Go to combat. What do you got, opponent? Attack our opponent. Attack the Teferi. They must have instant speed Wrath. All right. Instant speed Supreme Verdict. Well, crack this. Get a Watery Grave untapped. Mill our opponent. Mill some cards. Play or make some mana. Liliana. Take up Liliana. Discard Urborg. Dermotaxi. We're gonna take the Phage, like that's what we came here to do. Pass the turn. All right, opponent. I mean, they can use Teferi to bounce the Dermotaxi and keep that going, but opponent untaps. Oh, we were close. We actually hardcast a Phage and attacked with it. We didn't win because we're up against Bullet Control and they have no turn, but like proof of concept. We proved that that is actually possible for our deck to do. This is an annoying matchup. Opponent just has so many cards in hand. So we have one creature in the Mishra's Factory. So we need one more creature to turn on Dermotaxi, although again, blue light control, blah, 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 super obnoxious, blah, 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 blah. Opponent, wow, bounces the Spreading Seas, trying to turn off our coffers, I guess. Okay. Turns out, wow, goes after the factory. So opponent's really worried about us hitting them with the Phage. The bad news is opponent has 6 cards in hand and we have 0. Good news is we did just draw another Phage. I'll make some mana, cast a Phage. We cast 2 Phages in Modern in a row in the same game. Hard cast. I don't know if that's ever happened before in the history of the format. Can't touch this, opponent. Although, as blue-white control, they probably can touch it. That is a problem. If our opponent couldn't actually touch it, then they would already be dead. But silly control decks. Archmage's Charm to counter. Well, take up Liliana, make you discard. Pass the turn. So obnoxious. I mean, technically, we could go into Esper and we could play Teferis, but we're not like that. Draws even more Teferis. Okay. And tucks the Liliana. We draw Merfolk Secret Keeper. Well, we will mill our opponent. The problem is none of this is actually going to matter against a Teferi Hero of Dominaria deck. Like all of the work we're doing, all of the milling we're doing, it's just not going to matter because they're going to be able to just keep tucking their own Teferi. So I don't think we can actually mill our opponent out in this matchup. Opponent draws. I mean, opponent's down to 15 cards in their deck. They don't have a ton of cards, but Teferi just gets around that pretty much all by itself. And a Field of Ruin. Golly gee. Oh, we came so close too. In a miserable matchup. Opponent cast a Shark Typhoon. Untaps. Well, I mean, we got to go for it. I don't know that it's going to work, but we're going to try. We got to try. Factory. Crew it. Dermotaxi. Uber drivers, Phage, come on, hold, combat. Oh my God. Soul crushed. Oh, wow. We actually made it super close against Teferi Tribal. That was actually like, we didn't win, which is super sad, but that was actually like kind of impressive. We actually, our game plan was being executed. We Phaged, we Dermotaxied Phage. The problem is we were just in the matchup that does not let you do anything cool. If we were playing against another deck that let you play Magic on occasion, we might have actually done it. I think we would have got the Phage kill, but that was soul crushing. That was definitely a heartbreaker because our deck actually did what it was trying to do. Like it actually really truly really truly did it, but was not enough against our opponent's shenanigans. Well, that first hand wasn't good. Now we go into the all land hand, and this is the worst. All right, well, I think we're just immediately dead. I think this game is already over. Opponent keeps 7. We keep nothing. Opponent. Oh, that was so brutal. Opponent passes. Liliana's a good card. I mean, we're up against control though, so no good card will do anything. Opponent untaps Field of Ruin and passes. Well, Mishra's Factory passed the turn. So I guess our game plan is try to jank him out with Liliana. It might be safe to try to Liliana here, but if we wait a turn, we can leave up Flusterstorm, and then it should definitely be safe. Oh, my heart is still broken. Is it too much to ask to just Uber driver Phage kill someone? Like, is that really too much to ask? Opponent cycles a Shark Typhoon X0. Okay. Apparently yes. All right. Wow. Lux into the land. The way our opponent played this with the colorless land and whatnot, pretty clear they didn't have the land drop, and we're just hoping for the best, and the best happened. Opponent in the tank. Deep in the tank. Well, I mean, the Liliana is what we got. We try to play it. If it gets answered, it's over. We'll see if our opponent allows us to take our turn. All right. Eventually, the answer is yes. Took a bit of time, bit of thinking. Well, crack a polluted Delta. We will get a Watery Grave untapped. We will play a Liliana. Opponent. It resolves. Well, we will take up the Liliana. Discard the Dermotaxi, which is not going to be good in on this mold of 5 with 0 cards in the graveyard. Opponent discards a Wrath. Goal is get you with Liliana. That is all we got at the moment. Opponent. We're actually like kind of okay with our opponent. Blowing up the factory. If our opponent blows up the factory, then it turns on our Drown in the Lock. Maybe our opponent's having internet trouble or something. Taking a long time to do anything. Not a rate of speed that you can really play Blue 8 Control at and not time out. But, I mean, they're already up a game in this one, so they're probably fine in our match. But in general, this pace of play definitely will lead to many timeouts. Opponent. Please, would you like to untap? If our opponent just never does anything, does it count as a win? I mean, we did actually play multiple phages last game, only to get soul crushed. Opponent is returned. Maybe. Okay. Snaps to action with a Field of Ruin. Opponent untaps. Prismatic Ending. We will counter that. I mean, we're all in on this Liliana. That's what we got. That's where we're at. Protect the Liliana. Hope for the best. The problem is Liliana doesn't directly win the game. Opponent, another land. And maybe they weren't having land trouble. Take up Liliana. Discarding the coffers is kind of painful. We actually have a lot of swamps. Like, we have enough swamps that coffers would be making some mana. Only +1 at the moment, but still, I think we got to keep the Drown in the Lock. Like, I really think our plan is ultimate Liliana. When you mulligan to 5 or less, a lot of times you just got to take the riskiest line possible because you're so far behind. You're so far behind that if the game is played out fairly, you're gonna lose most of the time. So you gotta find a high risk, high reward game plan and just go for it and hope that it works out. And I think that's where we're at in this one. I mean, mulligan to a not very good 5, but at 5 they had Liliana, so our game plan is try to win with this Liliana. If that doesn't work out, then essentially we just we more or less just scoop it up because we got nothing because we mulligan so much. Opponent untaps. Plays a land. I mean, opponent's down to 4 cards. We are eating away at their resources for the time being. We still got a counter left over. There's no Teferi to stop it, so maybe? Opponent plays a Snapcaster Mage. So we're gonna try to Snapcaster Prismatic Ending. I mean, I guess we just counter it. Opponent passes. All right, we're gonna take a turn off. Drown in the Lock might be our worst draw because it's a draw that makes us want to not take up Liliana. Land for our... Okay, so our opponent apparently was not having land trouble. Hollowed Fountain, untap. Looks like a Shark Typhoon. Or not. Okay, opponent. Oh, maybe they're going to cycle Shark Typhoon? Well, Liliana, take it up. Discard the Phage. Pass the turn. Opponent's 2 cards in hand. Come on, no Shark Typhoons. Memory Deluge. Counter it. Opponent untaps. Do you have the answer? This is what it was all for. And they do. We'll let them tuck it and then we'll scoop. We tried. Not quite enough cards. It's the downside of a multi-5. Against the odds time, we are trying to get the Uber Phage win, trying to Dermotaxi a Phage into our opponent's face. All right. Well, we don't have the taxi, but well, this Cabal Coffers isn't great. But we do have just a ton of cheap ways to fill our graveyard, which means if we draw lands and find the taxi, wow, could we mill our opponent out with this hand? Maybe. Opponent's Karuga. Okay. Interesting. Well, untap land and Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Well, we milled the taxi. Mishra's Factory for our opponent and passes. Well, Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Oh, we milled a Phage, but we also milled another taxi, which is less good. Hit you for 1. I don't even think we're going to play the coffers. It doesn't do anything. We'd rather wait in Hedron Crab first, I think. About it. All right, so we don't really need to mill ourselves more. Ramanamp Ruins. All right, Mishra's Factory is okay. Hedron Crab. Mishra's Factory. I guess we mill our opponents. Try to see what they're doing. Oh my god. All right, well, we know what they're doing. Opponent's playing Calibrated Blast. Hopefully, we get lucky and we draw a land that lets it... Oh no, now we can't even cast counters. Well, the good news is the Phage Taxi kill could definitely work in this matchup. The bad news is, especially with this Beseiju out, I'm not sure how we can kill our opponent. Opponent passes. Well, there's a swamp. So we can't stop Blast anyway. We can stop the Cascade spell. Milling our opponent's probably bad because we're gonna mill him into the Cascade spell. I'll play the swamp, mill, I guess, ourselves. Yeah, too risky to mill our opponent. There's an Archon of Cruelty. Go attacking. Opponent takes it to 17 and, well, we're gonna pass. Mountain. Okay, this is fine. If they're casting throws, this is fine because we can counter the Calibrated Blast. Opponent has exactly enough cards in their graveyard that Drown in the Lock works. We need to draw the taxi. Opponent. Yeah, Cascades into Blast, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, we have milled 2 taxis, which is awkward. Opponent. Cascades. Calibrated Blast. Well, we will counter the first one. We're still really going to need our opponent to get unlucky, I think. Our clock is just not that fast. Oh my god, it's a taxi. Oh my god, it's a taxi. Oh my god, it's a taxi. Dermotaxi. Oh my god, is this going to happen? It's possible. The problem is they can Calibrated Blast the taxi. I mean, I guess at least that's not a Calibrated Blast going at our face. Exile the Phage. Play the crab. Well, now I think we go back to milling our opponent because they already have a Calibrated Blast. So milling more Calibrated Blast doesn't really matter. Maybe we can mill some finishers, some of the expensive stuff. Although they probably have Emrakul. I mean, I guess milling Emrakul's also good because if we mill Emrakul, it means it shuffles everything back in. Well, hit ya. Oh my god, we're close. The problem is they can Calibrated Blast the taxi and it will probably make us die. I guess I can also try to block with Mishra's Factory, but that seems probably less good. So they can't kill us this turn. Sunscorched Desert. There's nothing that costs enough. Oh, is this so close? I really want this kill. Opponent pings us down to 17. So we know they can flash back the Throes of Chaos. Or they can flash back the Calibrated Blast. They could hit another Calibrated Blast. Oh, they scooped. Oh my god. I mean, we won, which is good. We're not going to complain about winning, but we didn't really want to win that way with a concession. We wanted to get the Phage. Oh my goodness. Okay, that has to kind of count at least, right? We had the Phage under the taxi. Our opponent apparently couldn't beat it and they just scooped. That's gotta count for something. All right, well, cut. I mean, I think we keep the counters. Probably bring in ley lines. Chalice of the Void on 3 is good. That's kind of asking for a lot though. Creature removal doesn't do a whole lot. Thoughtseize is kind of hit or miss since they can cast their stuff from the graveyard. Well, I mean, we're gonna bring it in. We're gonna bring it in just in case. If we can somehow Chalice on 3, that does lock down our opponent's deck. And ley line at least minimizes the damage. They can't just keep flashing their stuff back. What do we cut? Liliana's actually fine. Maybe we just got to cut a little self-mill, like a Secret Keeper and a Secret Keeper. 10 self-mill cards. Let's try it like that. It's a win. It's not exactly what we wanted to see, but the Phage was in the Uber, and the Uber could attack, and our opponent scooped. Although I'm a little nervous because I think they could have used Calibrated Blast to maybe fizzle it. Opponent, Temple of Epiphany. Whoa, this is going to be interesting. Going to be close. So I think we got to shock ourselves to play the crab. Marsh Flats, crack it. This is a little scary, because it means we're getting ourselves closer to the one-shot range. 15 damage is the maximum that a blast can deal. I'll play the crab past the turn. So we're hoping that we just mill something for the taxi and have the absolute nut draw. Opponent, Sun Scorched Desert, down to 16, close to one-shot range. If we play the factory, we can play the factory next turn. All right, Urborg, come on, Phage. That's a Phage. All right, taxi, exile the Phage. Oh, there's hope. Pass the turn. This is almost the nuts. Opponent untaps. Is it happening? Is this the nut draw finally? The only thing that can make this better is one more fetch land. If we draw one more fetch land, then we can also leave up counter protection. Chalice of the Void. I'll play Mishra's Factory. Mill our opponent. Do we just wait? So this is summoning sick. Oh, did we misplay? So we can turn on Factory, try to Phage, Calibrated Blast beats us. I think we wait one more turn. Yeah, I think we just wait. Opponent, Calibrated Blast, counter it. I mean, next turn we're going for it. Next turn, there's no not going for it. We got through the first blast, so they need to have a second blast in hand. They can't flash it back yet. There's Beseiju. All right, this is it. Opponent passes. Play a swamp. Come on, no blast. Mill our opponent. Come on. Come on, Phage. Come on, Phage. Come on, Uber. Turn on the factory. Do they really have two in hand? Turn on the taxi. Oh! Oh, no. Well, venture deeper, mill ourselves. Oh, no. And now our Phage is gone forever. I thought that was it. Oh, sneaky split cards. All right, so opponent has their blast back. Well, I guess this was a reason to keep milling ourselves rather than milling our opponent. Although it looks like our opponent sideboarded a lot, so they might have a lot less good hits with their calibrated blast. All right, so now we got to find a way to get another Phage in the graveyard. All right, here it comes. Yep, how bad is it? 5 cards. All right, 7. Well, that's the downside of sideboarding. I mean, it's also still possible that we get to Chalice on 3. We're 1 land away. Watery Grave. Tapped. Mill ourselves. Secret Keeper. Liliana. Do we even want to tick up? No, let's just pass. That was so close. Opponent. I can't believe they had Consigned Oblivion. Are we dead? Do you have another blast? Does it hit high enough? Opponent. Looks like they do. Well, now we gotta hope for a fizzle. All right, opponent just has all the blasts. Consigned to Oblivion. Okay. Oh no, but they have Ramanop Ruins. Wow. So our opponent sideboarded heavily, but it's gonna be enough. We go to 2, but Ramanop Ruins is lethal, and we can't win this turn, and Chalice doesn't stop that. Yeah. I thought that was it. I thought that was it for sure. That was so brutal. So brutal. Maybe the Chalices are worse now that we see they actually have answers. Like Consigned to Oblivion can bounce Chalice, so maybe we go off the Chalice plan. Go up the Thought Seizes. Let's go up 1 Flusterstorm. Or 1 Archon, run out like that. Oh, I thought we had it. All right, we get to play first. That was like the dream. That was as fast as we can get it going. Consigned to Oblivion. All right, well, we got a taxi. We will keep. This time we also have a Thought Seize, which is nice. This hand is better than the last one. Well, if it's ever gonna work, this is our chance. Opponent doing some mulliganing. So turn 1, Venture Deeper. Turn 2, Crab Mill Thought Seize. Hopefully that hits the Phage and we're good. Also, since we're on the play, we're fast enough that our opponent can't actually stop our taxi with a calibrated blast. We got a plan. Polluted Delta, correct, Polluted Delta, get a blue source. But we do need to mill the Phage. That is the only thing standing in the way of our plan at the moment is milling a Phage. So actually, I think if we'll get the Watery Grave, untapped, venture deeper, mill some cards. No Phage yet. Pass the turn. Milled a bunch of counters that we wouldn't have minded. Although we do need to want to draw another land at some point. Nephalia Academy. That's a little awkward. Play Hedron Crab. Play Urborg. Mill some cards. Play Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Oh, we hit an Archon, which is something. It is not a Phage, though. And our opponent actually has discard protection, sort of. Opponent, Temple of Epiphany. Well, Marsh Flats, mill ourselves. Come on, Phage. No Phage yet. Sack Marsh Flats. Get a swamp. Mill ourselves. Phage. Okay, there's the Phage. Oh my god. Okay, sees you. Wow. They actually have the answer again. So opponent puts it back on top of their deck. Oh my goodness. This is incredibly unlucky. All right, we gotta draw a counter. And we're potentially dead to 1 Calibrated Blast. Oh my god. And our opponent drew Scavenger Grounds. Opponent has Calibrated Blast. It's a Throes of Chaos, which is going to be more Calibrated Blasts. Wow, that's so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. Opponent hits us for 4. Hits us to 10. We untap. Well, go to combat. Attack you for 1. Play Liliana. Tick up Liliana. Discard the Drown in the lock. Brutal. Opponent discards a land, untaps. Has a land. Throes of Chaos. No. Tick up Liliana. Discard Cabal Coffers. Opponent discards Blink Moth Infusion. Hit you with Stitcher Supplier. Oh, I thought this was the one for sure. Does the game 1/1 count? Does that still count? Opponent untaps Temple of Epiphany. I mean, they got a Throes of Chaos here, I think, or else we're going to make them discard it. So I think they got to fire off the Throws. Although I guess they'll draw lands eventually to be able to cast it again. Still not casting the Throws. Interesting. Well, take up Liliana. Maybe we just got to give up on this Dermotaxi. Take up Liliana. Discard the Marsh Flats. Oh, they don't have Throws. Dermotaxi. It's all coming down to this. Opponent can crack the Scavenger Grounds, but if they do, they're going to lose their Calibrated Blast. It does fizzle our Dermotaxi. The question is, do they think they can blast for 10? It's probably like a 50-50 shot with how they've sideboarded. Opponent. What happened to the Throes of Chaos? I'm so confused. All right, opponent lets it go. We take the Phage. All right, this is it. It all comes down to this. It's all coming down to essentially a coin flip. We know our opponent can cast a Calibrated Blast. We are at 10. If they hit something that is 10 or more mana, we're dead. If they hit a Throes of Chaos or a Calibrated Blast, or they hit a sideboard card, then we live. Opponent untaps. Here it is. This is the game. This is the Phage dream, all locked into a single flip of the coin. Calibrated Blast. Calibrated Blast! Oh, we did it! 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 3 damage! We live! That is clearly the Phage's Taxi kill. That is 1,000,000% the Phage's Taxi kill, because we know they can't stop it. Game 1, we were like, okay, I think we kind of got it, but we weren't 100% sure. This game, it is 100% it. Sadly, we didn't actually get to see the hit, but opponent's got no cards in hand. They can't flash anything back. They don't have any blockers. Like, it is 1,000,000% the Phage's Uber kill. So we did do it, even though our opponent scooped just a tiny bit too early. We did have to get a little lucky with the Calibrated Blast spins, but that's one of the downsides of sideboarding so much in your Calibrated Blast decks is sideboarding in all these Consign for Oblivions. It saved our opponent in game 2, but at the same time, it weakens your Calibrated Blast. It's such a unique deck, Calibrated Blast, but well, all right, that's Phage's Uber. We did it finally, mostly. Even though we didn't get to see the trigger go on the stack. Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. So what did we learn this week about Phage's Uber in Modern? And record-wise, the deck wasn't super competitive. So we won a game by hardcasting ourselves with Cabal Coffers against Burn, which was very unlikely. We finally did get the Phage's Uber kill, but in between, I lost a lot of games. I showed some of them. There were some other ones where we just kind of did nothing and got like run over by Merfolk and just like didn't really do anything meaningful. So I didn't even bother to show those matches. So I think overall record wise, the deck was like 2-6. So 25% match win percentage, not super good. We also saw some hilarious blowouts along the way. Like we did get really close to some more Phage's Uber's kills. Like against the blue-white control deck, we did everything. We got it set up. We fought through our opponent's interaction. We got Phage on the Uber. We crewed it up with our Uber drivers. We went to attack, and of course they had the Path to Exile. So there were some blowouts there, and we did see some of the downsides that we talked about in the intro, like being able to get Phage under an Uber, but have our opponent have just a ton of blockers, like Hammer Time, for example. In a world where there's like just a million Ornithopters and Memnites on the battlefield, even if we pull off our combo and do it really quickly, it's not always enough to win the game because our opponent could probably just chump block Phage for a few turns and maybe kill us on the backswing. So I don't think the combo is super competitive in Modern, although it is hilarious. And considering that Phage is a really, really tricky card to actually win with, like there's not that many ways to get Phage on the battlefield quickly. Like you have Dermotaxi or Uber combo, the newest way. You guys have like Torpor Orb to try to stifle the ETB trigger, can kind of get it done. You could try to just like ramp into it and hard cast it, but it's 7 mana. You could be casting like Karn or whatever. There's some really powerful finishers that are much better than Phage. So considering how difficult it is to win with Phage, I didn't think our record was that bad because it is like a notoriously difficult card. On the other hand, I do think this is an interesting combo for Commander. In Commander, you got 3 opponents. You have a whole bunch of singleton cards. Dermotaxi is already a pretty sweet card that should probably see more play. It's pretty easy to just like play one Phage in your deck in a relatively normal deck, maybe get it in the graveyard with Entomb or something. And then when you crew it up with the Taxi, just attack the person that doesn't have the blockers and you can steal a win that way, or steal a kill that way, I guess. You don't really win if you got 3 opponents, but still. So I think it's worth exploring more in Commander for sure. In Modern, it's sweet, it's fun. You can probably build a budget version of it. I tried to build a budget version of it and that also had some issues, but it's not super competitive. But that's Phage's Uber for Modern. That's our against odds for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to vote for next week's deck. Poll linked in the description in the community tab, so vote there. Thanks again for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.